At the end of the day, I believe, and this is of course my belief, that our spouse, our husbands, our wives, are our primary relationship, are our most important relationship. The children will live eventually, hopefully, that's the way of life. But with this person, we want to age, and we want to age gracefully. And that requires that we invest and build that bond that the other person says, "You're my favorite person." I am Gabriela.
And I'm Elie.
And to this day in 2024, we've been married for 25 happy years. I don't know at what point in our relationship, I was already a coach, so in the last 14 years for sure, the book, The Five Love Languages from Gary Chapman, came into my radar. And I remember, Shari, reading that book and doing the test at the end where you can figure out your love languages. And actually, I remember saying, okay, I have to give the book to Elie. He wasn't so interested in reading the book.
It was too long. I don't, you gave me the exact paragraph you highlighted in yellow. Okay, read this. And even those, few paragraphs were a bit too much. But I got the concept.
But remember, we were in an hotel. We were in some vacation, and I asked you if you would like to do the test.
And
At
I
the
said
end, and no, you said yes.
Oh, surprise.
You said yes. You did the test, and that's when we figured out our love languages. And that was a game changer for us, and I think it is for every relationship.
So I'm just so curious. I think Gary Chapman calls out 5 different love languages and then goes on to explain what that means and what you have to do for someone who has a particular one. So do you know what yours are, each of you? Can you share? Are you willing?
Do you remember yours?
I think mine is called, I forget. No, yours is acts of service. Mine is quality time.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first ones, the first one for quality time, act of service.
Interesting. So if Ellie unloads the dishwasher for you, how happy does that make you?
It's not it's not the dishwasher, right? That he in the book he talks about making a list of what kind of act of service you appreciate the most. Not the dishwasher because that is the kids' job in the house. Um, it's in particular fuel my car.
Without you asking.
Without yes,
That's a big
that's a big
win.
one. Yours act of is quality time. That was a game changer for me. I think for you to discover that mine was act of service wasn't because naturally you
Yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
but the quality
Right.
time, that was a game changer because it's not in my top love languages, quality time. In fact, I need a lot of time alone. But so here's how it goes. We would be watching TV, and I would grab my phone, and he will get upset,
Right.
and he would say, "But we're doing this together. Why are you grabbing your phone?" And I would say, "Oh, it's just 1 minute. It's just one email." And before I knew quality time was his love language, I didn't understand why he gets so caught up on that minute. And now that I know, I'm very careful not to do that unless I really have to. And this morning we went for a walk.
Oh, that was different.
Yeah, we went for a walk because today is a beautiful day. So
You asked for us to go to.
yeah, I asked him.
Right. I
I
had
said,
to change my schedule.
"Do you want to go for a walk during lunchtime?" And it was the morning or lunch? No, it was
No,
around
no.
lunchtime. And we went for a walk by the water, and I had to communicate with my VA, my virtual assistant, and I couldn't delay it. And I could see he was getting frustrated. And I explained to him, "I know this is
Right.
a trigger for you, but there's no way around it. I won't be able to do this tomorrow. I'm teaching tomorrow." So I had to really explain myself to make sure he doesn't get upset. But
I got upset.
Yeah. But still in all, Gabby invited you in for some quality time together. So already that's something. But then it got infringed upon. And it's interesting because actually my daughter invited my husband and I to do the answer the questions together of all things, and then our whole family got to talk about what our love languages are, because it is between spouses, but then also just in an important relationship, when you know what kind of turns someone on and makes them feel good or happy, you want to do that. um, but it's true. I have to say, I don't think anyone stops to think about what does my partner like to receive from me. That's an interesting question we can be asking ourselves.
Absolutely. I think that, okay, I've been talking a lot. Go
No, no,
ahead.
continue.
I think that when we are aware of it, then we can make the conscious effort of what to do and what not to do. And for me, okay, I also check. I let the kids do their own to make sure that we are in the same thought of loving them the way they need. But I think that for me, what it does, it builds a bond of trust, which is the key foundation for any relationship.
Absolutely.
To feel safe, you have to trust the other person.
Absolutely.
I remember for a kid,
Go ahead.
sorry, I remember conversations we had when we identified what the love language for one of our kids are, and we had changed how we communicate with them. Right, one of our sons really likes his freedom and he likes to make his own decisions, and he really dislikes, being put in a position when he feels it's not his choice what's going on around him. And we had changed that, right? We changed how we interacted with, in different situations with the kid, and that made a big difference in the behavior, in the acceptance of the circumstances, and it removed the conflicts. It generally made the relationship so much smoother. So it's not just between spouses; it's between, I would say, any two human beings. But the closer the relationship is, the more pronounced the effect is.
So, Ellie, I just want to start by saying that it's so interesting, especially with our children. We oftentimes want to change our children, but what you just expressed is gold, because you saw something and you were open and willing to make the effort to change yourself, the adult, to accommodate your son's need. And when we do that in our marital relationships, it just makes for such an easier, smoother, more trusting time with each other.
Yeah, it makes the other party feel like they're seen, they are
Yeah.
they are understood.
And accepted.
My mom, when she was here the last time, she commented. She said it's interesting that when you ask the boys something, they actually answer you, and they do what you are asking them to do. Whatever you're asking them usually is a chore or something. And he said, they're teenagers, not obvious. And I pondered on her comment a lot, and I came back to her after. I said, I think that what we have built in our family is bonds of trust, and I go back to the same expression. And I think the way we did that was first by getting to know each other, using whether it's the love languages or using different models to understand people's design, whether it's human design or their soul gifts. So understanding everyone, knowing how they are, accepting how they are, and then communicating and respecting their ways. For example, Elie usually creates more step by step, and I create more multitasking. And I remember this conversation. We were talking about the business, and he says, "Can we just do one thing now?" And I said, "You're asking me to get really bored if I do one thing." I said, "But I will acknowledge your way and give in, and we'll do one step at a time." So the fact that we know ourselves, which is very important.
Yes.
Like I said in the previous episode, never stop understanding and learning and investigating or doing a PhD on your spouse. And the more we know ourselves, the more we respect ourselves, our ways, the more we build a bond of trust.
And it's not about change as much as adaptation to one another. So, like some people will be listening to this and sort of have a bit of resistance to the idea of adapting, but that's all it is, to create a more harmonious relationship or dynamic in the household. It's not asking that you change who you are at all. On the contrary, it's asking that you become more of who you are so your partner can receive all that love that you have to give.
It's usually not a big adaptation. There is also to set up the space for the other person.
If I need to talk to him and he says, I'm really not in the right mind space, and I said, this is really important for me now, he will make himself
I have
available.
to shake myself and say, okay, I'll make myself available.
He'll make himself available. But we don't do that every time.
You
We only do it when it's important.
You can't, because then it wouldn't work.
It's like wolf,
Awesome.
right?
That is such a
That's
great
right.
little tool that you just shared. It's a simple little shift in language that lets the other person know, I kind of need you to put yourself aside for these few minutes.
That's right. So we don't come with the assumption, I come first, you come last. Not among ourselves and not with the kids. But when it's needed, because sometimes it is needed, right? We are 5 people in the family, then we make it very clear. And it's quite rare that we will use that, but we know it's there when we need it. And again, and maybe that's more of the topic of this conversation, we go back to building that bond of trust and not abusing our power as parents or among ourselves. By no ways trying to abuse that. Yeah, by no means.
I love it. I think that's honestly, there's so much in these few minutes that we've had together to take away and to think about. And you know what? I'm married 34 years. You're married 25. There's still always something new to learn and to grow from, because I like that and I'm going to use it. How's that?
That's amazing.
I don't know when I'm going to need to use it, but when I do, I'm going to remember it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our first satisfied customer.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Listen, we're all here to keep learning and growing. Otherwise, the opposite of that is stagnation. Who wants that?
What are the other 5 languages that I don't remember all of them?
Touch, and we have words of affirmations. I think the other 2 for us were words and touch. I use words a lot. So among ourselves, I'll tell you, because I think I was the second one for both of us, words of affirmation. The way we use that is if something did a nice gesture for each other, we will text each other. We will text each other and say, I'll send you a thank you note. Or you will get a thank you card. Just as a if we spend a nice evening together, I will text him the next day. By the way, I sent you a thank you card by the post.
Oh, that's so cute.
Obviously, I didn't, but it's just a nice way of acknowledging what we do for each other, and we not only use words of affirmation and words of love, but we also call each other nicknames. And we know that when we're using that nickname, it comes loaded with affection. So that's another way of communicating without words, in a way. I mean, one word. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone has access to all of this. It's right. We all have access to that. It's free.
Yeah.
That's right. It's inviting, it's free, and it makes the other one feel cherished.
Absolutely.
Like you really have to like your spouse. I know it sounds...
Well, I was just going to say what you just described, like, the one word or the thank you or the sending the e-card or the post card, all of that. it's so easy because we know that our partner is always there. It's very easy to take the partner for granted. Oh, yeah, I know he'll be on the couch. I'll know he'll be coming home from work. I know. There's this expectation that our partner, he or she, will always be around. And it's important to remember to not take that for granted.
Well, because he will always be around, I want to make sure this is
Yeah,
good.
right, right.
Especially when we work from home, we're always in each other's face. We have to make the
Yeah,
time pleasant.
No, we always did that,
Yeah,
even before we work from home. Yeah.
but it got the need for that kind of escalated when we
Mm,
started both working from home 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
that's right. At the end of the day, I believe, and this is of course my belief, that our spouse, our husbands, our wives, are our primary relationship, are our most important relationship. The children will live eventually, hopefully, that's the way of life. But with this person, we want to age, and we want to age
mm,
gracefully. And that requires that we invest and build that bond that the other person says, "You're my favorite person," right? I wouldn't want to age with someone else. Well, we have to make it happen.
We want to stay happily married.
Thank you, Shari, for playing.
thank you for inviting me in as always.